septic shock where I had total system failure.
I could barely move. This is the last thing I remember.
It's customary to think that people who need intensive care are usually after a car accident or a big operation, and this is usually true. The medical intensive care unit specializes in treating patients with complex medical problems. Each organ affects the other organs, so we have to work to stabilize all the functions and not just one or two.
My name is Samuel Abramson. For 33 years, I've practiced dentistry in this room and at this chair. And for 33 years, everything went quite well. Last year at this time, a young gentleman came into the office, sat down in the chair, and had a terrible coughing bout. A week later, I felt quite weak and lethargic, and I began coughing as well. When I went to my physician, he took a chest x-ray, and the last thing I remember before I fainted was him screaming, "Call for an ambulance, dachuf ambulance."
He came in with symptoms of pneumonia. He very quickly deteriorated and required artificial ventilation. His lungs were so severely affected by the pneumonia that they nearly did not function at all. When Dr. Abramson was in our unit, we received the report that he actually caught H1N1, which is swine flu influenza. My kidney stopped, my liver stopped, my heart stopped, and the great doctors at the ICU were able to save me. You may have died at one of these infection periods or complications that you had, but you were very strong, and you encouraged us to keep on fighting. Slowly and gradually, Dr. Abramson could breathe on his own and leave the unit and go to rehabilitation, where he spent the next few weeks getting back on his feet and to his previous life. I got a phone call. Now, Yom Kippur, I was at home with my family. It's not usual that people call, but it was the attending physician, Avi Abutbul, from the medical ICU. He sounded very distressed. "What happened, Avi?" I said. "I'm treating a young man who drank some tea he ordered from the internet. I don't know what it is, and I have to resuscitate him, and he's in critical condition, and I cannot get his lungs to work."
I was buying this herb on eBay. The herb was called butcher's broom. It's very popular. It's supposed to help with blood circulation. I thought it was legit, so I bought it.
Orel, do you remember everyone that treated you? Dr. Mark?
Absolutely. I remember him, you, all the stuff. I remember them very well.
Yes, yes.
After my near-death experience, I've retired from dentistry. My good fortune is that my son Ari has taken over the practice, and he is a graduate of Hebrew University Hadassah Dental School. Sometimes when I'm playing with one of my grandchildren, I think about what I just went through and how lucky I am to be here today. Thank you, Hadassah.
If you donate to Hadassah, you are helping saving lives. And I want to thank you for supporting Hadassah. Because of you, I'm here today.
There just aren't enough beds in the medical ICU to treat everybody who needs us. And it is very important for us to grow and be able to save more lives.
So good afternoon, everybody. It is a pleasure for me to be here and talk a bit about myself and what I do at Hadassah. My connections with Hadassah started at a very early age, as I was born at the Hadassah's Meir Shver Youth Village, where my parents were teaching at the time. My mother, of Polish origin, went on to become a world expert on Islamic literature and mysticism. My father was the European representative for Jaffa oranges. Remember the oranges with Jaffa stamped on them? So that brought us to London, England, where I grew up until I was 16, and this explains part of my funny accent. I later came back to Israel and served at the same army base where my parents met. Ever since I remember, I wanted to be a doctor. It was my passion. So when I was accepted to several medical schools, I chose the Hebrew University Hadassah Medical School because that was considered to be the best. I went on to specialize in internal medicine and critical care at Hadassah, and this is where I also met my husband. He was the chief security officer for President Ezer Weizmann, and he accompanied President Weizmann when he was hospitalized in the unit where I was working. So this was the beginning of a beautiful relationship and later marriage. And we even spent a couple of years in Australia where I did some more critical care training, and this explains another part of my funny accent. We have two lovely teenage boys. I now head the medical ICU at Hadassah, as you've seen. It is an important part of the medical division. It supports the medical departments in treating their critically ill, complicated cases. And we are due to move into the round building together with the medical departments. As I said in the video, most people think that intensive care is all about trauma patients, car accidents, terrorist attacks. It's all very heroic. But medical patients also get complications that often require intensive care treatment. This is why day in and day out, the medical intensive care faces the toughest challenges of internal medicine. Imagine your loved one, your partner, your parent, your child. They are healthy and they lead a normal life. But one day they get pneumonia, a bad pneumonia. So they're admitted to the medical department because that's where people with bad pneumonia go. But they gradually get worse, and now they need mechanical ventilation. So they are attached to an artificial respirator. These patients need constant monitoring, evaluation, and adjustment of their treatments by specialized doctors and nurses. In the past, these patients would probably stay in the medical wards because there weren't enough medical ICU beds for them. But now we can save them. This is the mission of the medical intensive care unit. Not every hospital in Israel has a medical intensive care unit, and this means that sometimes complicated medical cases stay in the medical wards. But 2 decades ago, Hadassah physicians realized they could do better and decided medicine must have its own intensive care unit. This was an innovation, and you were there for us. When Hadassah opened the first medical intensive care unit in Israel, I was a young doctor, and I was inspired by the fact that we could actually save lives that others would give up on. This is why I went on to become one of the first physicians from internal medicine to specialize in critical care in Israel. One day, my mentor, Professor David Linton, who you may know, he's a doctor and a pilot from South Africa, walked into the unit wheeling a cart with a big funny machine on it. It looked like a mad professor's invention. And in fact, it was, because he helped build the first closed-loop automatic mechanical ventilator that is in use all around the world today. So this is the Hadassah way, to be the first, to be the best, and to be the benchmark for others to follow. We see it all. Patients with bad infections, breathing problems, liver failure, kidney failure, every other failure. You know that cancer patients now live longer because of advanced treatments and personalized medicine. But they often get complications of their disease and side effects from the drugs that they take. So they must have intensive care support. Not only this, but advances in medicine are bringing in more sophisticated treatment for hematological patients. Treatments like CAR T-cell therapy. These treatments help save lives, and Hadassah is providing them, but they must have intensive care backup, our backup. So we are there for them, and you are here for us. We see ourselves as ambassadors. We are active in teaching students, nurses, and doctors the art of intensive care so that they too can save lives. We are active in clinical research in the field of mechanical ventilation, treatment of bad infections, and developing communication tools to help physicians improve the way they speak to anxious family members. So you can imagine the big demand on our 9 beds, the same number of beds we have had since 1996. So we simply must grow. That is why we're excited about expansion of our unit in the new round building. If it weren't for the medical knowledge and sophisticated equipment, dentist Sammy Abramson and the young man Orel, who ordered some tea from the internet, would probably not have made it. I would like to share with you a photo, please. Yes. This is a photo of another of our patients, a young mother of 2, who nearly died in the medical ICU because of a severe viral infection. Not only did she survive, but she came back to Hadassah and to bring birth to 2 lovely twins. So this is the miracle of life. I want to thank you for helping me do my job and save lives, and I hope to see you soon at Hadassah. Thank you.